Hello again, it's Neil Dugan here. We're going to answer the question of why five brains. What are the five brains, and where did this whole concept of trying to look for this complexity come from? And the answer is that what I'm doing with the five brain model is an extension of a Gnostic and a Essene based sort of wisdom, if you like. And it's very ancient. It goes way back into the Cabalistic traditions, also into the ancient Egyptian traditions as well. And it's the notion that there is something other than just this sort of head-brain activity. So, of course, the scientific model is that we have a head brain, and there's no question about it. It's a master processor for all kinds of things that are going on inside our bodies. But these ancient wisdoms look at other brain locations as well. So in the old traditions, they tend to actually jumble up the minds and the brains, so they tend to interchangeably look at them. And indeed, actually, in our modern way of viewing things, we talk about the head brain and then we talk about the intellect. So we're thinking about things, or we're worrying about things, or whatever it is that we're doing, and we're interchanging these things all the time. But the observable fact is that there's a huge difference between the actual physical grey matter, if you like. If we're looking at the head brain, just think about the head brain at the moment. All that neurological structure, with its hormonal signalling and circulation systems and everything else that is going on inside your skull. There's a massive difference between all of that organic habit, all of that third dimensional stuff, and the mind levels that are actually being supported by it. So there's an undeniable connection between our intelligence and our head brain, but the head brain doesn't do the thinking. The thinking is actually carried out by the minds. So these other brains, we have this head brain. We also have a brain in our thorax, which is the chest, and it's around the heart and the lungs and underneath the rib cage and so on and so forth. And then below that is the instinctive brain, so the actual gut brain, or the abdominal brain as I call it, and the actual neurological structures are hugely centered around the small intestine, but very importantly they're actually all around all of the other organs in the abdomen as well as in the musculature. So the neurological structures are actually in the musculature, and so that would include the musculature of the stomach walls, if you like, but also the actual abdominal muscles as well. So we talk about core strength, and it's all these muscles that we're referring to. The next brain is the pelvic brain, and it is largely centered around the pelvic floor. So this is the very bottom of the abdomen, of course, but we separate it off as a separate brain, and it's also all around the reproductive organs. It's a bit different in men to women, but nonetheless it's the same kind of functioning going on in both cases. And it's a very spread out web of neural ganglia, so it's not as concentrated as, for example, around the small intestine, but it's a very important web of neural ganglia, and believe me, it's processing things. The last physical brain that we're looking at and working with is in the spine, and for most modern scientists they would actually consider the spinal column or the spinal cord to be a part of the head brain. It's not normally seen as being a separate thing. However, it's functionally very, very different in its operation, and it goes all the way up into the skull, so it goes right up to the very top of what's called the brain stem, and includes quite a bit of the structures that are sitting around inside the skull as well. But that's the spinal brain. So the next video we're going to talk about will be just going into the head brain, and we're going to talk about the functioning of the head brain in more detail, but that's an introduction. Please like and share, and look forward to the next videos. Thanks, bye.